As Stafford Municipal School District begins a new school year, fresh leadership is stepping forward. Ash Hamirani takes on the role of school board president, bringing with him a new vision for students, families, and educators across the district. We sat down with Mr. Hamirani to learn more about his goals, the challenges ahead, and what inspired him to step into this important role. Here's what he had to say.
I was first elected at the young age of 28 years old, the youngest ever in all of Stafford history, to be on the school board. And from that day, it's been a personal mission of mine. And I didn't have kids at the time when I first got elected, but I always knew I was going to eventually send my kids here. And to me, it was very important to be part of this public school education system. So I fundamentally believe in order for us to keep the American dream alive here in the United States, we need to ensure that people have access to safe, stable housing, quality education, and healthcare. And to be able to tackle professionally, what I do is I work in attainable housing, and we build attainable housing all around the state. To be able to address education is one of the toughest things, and it's required. I'm a product of a public education system, and I credit that for my success today. I went, after I graduated from high school, I went to University of Texas, and then I got my master's at Texas A&M. Both are great public institutions. And to me, it's important when I ran was to make sure that we keep that dream alive and we give access to students in our next generation. Because ultimately, we think about, it's not just about our kids, all our kids, the entire community. We have a village, and these are the same kids that are going to be building the next great technology, whether it's the next cars or AI, and whatever they're doing, they're going to be the ones running the world. And hopefully the world that I live in when I'm 60, 70 years old is a better place, and hopefully I get to play a small part in that. So to me, that's important as we prepare for that and we think about that. And that's what's inspired me to run and spend countless hours here. And again, like I've said, we get paid a massive salary of $0.00 to do it, but it is the most rewarding job that I have ever had, bar none. And so I love everything about it. I love doing it every day. I love the people that I get to interact with, and the wonderful staff, the wonderful teachers, the wonderful folks, the students, and everyone that I get to interact with. It's just energizing, and it's the best thing I've ever done. And at the end of the day, hopefully I'm making a difference, and hopefully we are, as Stafford continues to become better and better, and our school district continues to prepare our students for the future. Number one, we've got to take care of those who take care of us. That's vital, right? To take care of our kids. They're the ones that we trust every single day to spend hours and hours training our kids, preparing them for the future. Our kids spend more time with their teachers and our staff and the folks here at SMSD than they do even at their own home many times. And so we need to make sure we take care of those people. So number one, and this year, as you've all heard, has been a historic year, is we've increased compensation across the board more so than we've ever done as my time on the board, and possibly more than we've ever done in the history of Stafford. So that was step one for us to take care of them. Number two is we also got to make sure that as we give folks increases, we're also giving them the proper incentives. So teachers and staff members and everyone across the board who's doing a phenomenal job, who's going above and beyond the call and is doing more than they need to, is getting compensated for that. Because I know for a fact, not a single member that works at Stafford MSD is doing it for the money. The board members certainly aren't, we don't get paid, but I know every single one of our teachers, staff members are also doing it because they care about our kids. So that's really important. As step one is to ensure that we're taking care of those who take care of our kids. Number two is to empower them. One of the things that happens over time is the state tends to tighten up our hands as much as they can as trustees and as a school district. But ever so often they cut one of those ropes loose, and it gives us a little more autonomy to go do things as a board and as a school district. This year was one of those years in the legislative year where we actually got a little more autonomy when it came to behavior and other factors that impact classroom day to day. We want to make sure that we send that autonomy down to our teachers. We really want to empower our teachers and give them the ability, because what they do best is what they do in the classroom. Is they are just phenomenal teachers. They don't want to deal with the bureaucracy. They don't want to fill out all the paperwork and all the things and teach by a very strict, rigid curriculum that exists today, unfortunately. And it's not just Stafford, it exists all throughout the state. And the next step is, we want to make sure we always focus, and this has been something that I have stressed, and I think as a board we've stressed, is we want to focus on the fundamentals. Is why are we here? We're here to make our students smart and challenge them academically and prepare them for a life after SMSD. And we want to make sure we bring that focus back on the academics. And we want to continue to have all these phenomenal programs. I think we've got, bar none, some of the best programming for extracurricular out there, better than anyone our size. We want to continue those, but we also want to make sure we don't forget the main mission. And that is to ensure that our students are getting challenged academically so that they may succeed whatever that next step for them may be, whether it's college, whether it's a career, or whether it's joining the military. We want to make sure they are ready for that challenge. So there's, one of the challenges in any education body is always a million problems that we need to solve, and they're never ending, it seems like. One of the things that we're being very active in, and I've always made the joke, we always say thank you on behalf of current students, thank you on behalf of former students. I bring a very different perspective. I've got 2 young children, Stafford class of 2039 and 2043, which means I've got a newborn. And so we really want to start thinking about Stafford, not in terms of 1 year or 2 years, but really start thinking about what is that going to look like for the next 10 years, the next 20 years, and how are we preparing our school district, our teachers, our staff, and unfortunately, our aging infrastructure. We've, for the most part, there's been a few new buildings that were passed with the last bond that happened in 2017. We haven't really taken care of our existing buildings that existed prior to that. One of the biggest challenges we face today is just an aging infrastructure that exists here in Stafford. And we need to address that, and we've looked at different ways. The way we're funded, and it's unfortunate, is we spend over $5 million of our money, our local money, that goes to the state. So not only does the state not pay us money, they actually take money through recapture out of our local tax revenue because we are deemed to be property rich. So what that creates is it creates a hole for us. It makes it hard because we're so focused on ensuring that the money stays as close to students as possible. We sometimes don't think about our infrastructure or don't have much left over for infrastructure. And so we're looking at different avenues to find that long-term funding, whether it's through a bond or whatever it may be. We're looking at those to address some of these aging infrastructures and our buses and our roofs and our air conditionings and things that aren't really exciting to talk about but are needed for our day-to-day. And that really is our biggest challenge today is doing that. When I first ran my campaign back in 2019, I said a quote, which was, 40% of the new jobs that will exist don't even exist today, and we don't even know what they're going to be called. And I think we're starting to see that to be true more so than ever, as we're preparing for careers that don't exist, and that's going to be important, is how do we do that? And how do we continue to be the pioneers in technology, as we have been? We were the first ones to have a drone launch pad on our campus. We're the first ones in our county to have an esports program and to have students get scholarships for esports. So how do we continue to be those pioneers? And that's going to be our goal.
For Stafford Weekly News, I'm Mauricio Morales, bringing your community stories to life 1 week at a time.